Trial? Trial?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Oh, I'm back. Okay, so Angela, are you ready?
please wait for 3 minutes, 3 seconds. I will try to fix my computer question.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, I'm ready.
Angela, right now, okay, good. Now it's big. Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Angela, and today I will present my final project, that is how does the online TPRS course enhance junior high school students' learner autonomy. So here's my table of content. So first, I will present my 2 keywords. The first one is teaching proficiency through reading and storytelling, and the second one is learner autonomy, LA. So what is TPRS? In brief, that is a new teaching method. So in TPRS course, students learn. Teacher will use storytelling with a lot of gestures and a lot of a lot of gestures or actions, so help students to familiar with the target vocabulary and structure. And one of the features in TPRS is repetitive nature here. So what is repetitive nature? That means students can use the teacher in TPRS course will raise several questions that might related to the storyline or maybe related to the learner's life experience. So from this kind of interaction, students can familiar with the content quickly and easily. And most of the TPRS course focus on how to help students acquire more vocabulary. So here are 2 researchers. They are focused on these kind of goals, and from their result we can find yes, TPRS indeed helps students to increase or enlarge their vocabulary size, and also most of the students enjoy this kind of learning environment. And now let's move on to the learner autonomy. So what is learner autonomy? In brief, that is how students can raise their awareness of how to learn, and later on they can plan or monitor their learning process, and finally they can achieve the goal they want. So learner develop the awareness of how to learn rather than all to learn. In 2020, we also conclude LN into 3 features, that is attitude, motivation, and learning strategies. So from this, if one learner can equip himself or herself with these 3 features, you said it might be achieve the standard of learner autonomy. And because in my study, I want to focus on whether the online environment also can affect students' attitude. So I also found although students may not they can may not participate in the physical course. However, the online environment also can satisfy their student needs, and students can also achieve learner autonomy at the end of the course. And they were so participate at this kind of online learning environment. And because you want to investigate the TPR, whether TPRS course can achieve LA, and I found that there's one researcher focused on this topic, and from his like result, I know that yes, and using TPRS course can achieve learner autonomy, no matter in like individual like teaching course or like student need to cooperate with each other to create this environment. And now I want to move on to the niche I found. The first one is most these kind of courses were internet in elementary school, and most of them focus on vocabulary acquisition. And I just wonder if like the junior high school student will still follow the same path. That is, they again like acquire vocabulary first, and later I can gain more skills from this TPRS course. And also, I just wonder whether this kind of course can trigger their motivation, because actually TPRS course might be a little bit childish because it's just talking about a short story and like ask a lot of questions, try to trigger their motivation. That is the first niche I want to know. And the second one is there is no evidence indicate like whether online learning environment can affect students' attitude toward the TPRS course, because in this kind of course, teachers maybe focus more on the interaction and maybe action or gesture between the peers, the learners, and the teacher. So I don't know whether the online environment might affect their attitude. And the third one is the most important one. That is only one researcher printer investigate this topic. So I think that is more, maybe I can explore more on whether like a TPRS course indeed can help students to achieve LA. And also maybe which section of the TPRS affect LA the most. That is one I also want to investigate in my study. So here I comes to I generate 3 research questions. The first is how does the online TPRS course enhance junior high school students' English learner autonomy? And the second one is what are junior high school students' perceptions of the online TPRS course? And the third one is what are junior high school students' perceptions of learner autonomy? So here's my participant, and how is his nickname? And he is a 13 years of student, and his English proficiency level is intermediate. So like I can use English to interact with him. And he didn't participate in this kind of course before, but however, he has several like different learning experience, maybe at school or at print school or at tutor course. So I think he might be a good participant for me to let me know like whether this kind of course trigger his motivation and whether online environment is suitable for him. And also is willing to participate 2 activities, that is course and interview, because it took like 1.5 hours to do the whole process. And based on these 2 researchers, I generate my own TPRS course. So I learned vocabulary. I help my participant to learn vocabulary first, and later is a storytelling time with circling and PQA. Circling here means the question related to the story, and PQA is the question that related to the learner's real life experience. And I also generate 2 kinds of after read activities, help students to remind the story. And I did semi-structured interview in after the course, and I asked him and also his parents to sign a consent form. And the reason why I think I want to use interview is that interview is the most commonly used technique for primarily qualitative data collection, as they provide a natural and comfortable atmosphere for the participants. So I think in my case, I think the interview is the best and feasible way for me. And after the interview, I did thematic analysis so that I can know the things in this. And this is my interview questions. And most of here I just to like show you the question that related to TPRS. And here is related to LA. So some were generated by myself, but some were modified by these 5 papers. So this is before, and here is my like hand notes, and this is Chinese version of the interview, and this is I translate into English version. And I did line by line coding so that I can know what is going on between the line. So I did the coding 3 times. This is the first time, and the second time, And the final one. And this is the one I will show in my final paper. And after interview, I create these six things: the benefit for English learning, the interaction between the learner and the teacher, repetitive nature, increased learners' motivation, desire to self-select learning materials, and the benefit of online learning. So here I want to answer my research question. I think yes, online TPRS course enhance his learner autonomy, but the connection was a little bit weak for me. Maybe because the duration of the course was too short, because I only help him to familiar with this kind of course only one time, and also students how were not familiar with the concept of LA, so he tried to help him to he doesn't know what LA is, so it's a little bit difficult for him to understand how to achieve. And the perception of online TPRS course and how they repetitive nature and interaction within this course help him to familiar with the content and also can trigger his motivation on learning. And he thought that TPRS improve his reading ability the most, and followed by if he can acquire more knowledge from reading, maybe he can become a better writer in the future. And the third is the perception of learner autonomy. And as I mentioned before, this is the first time how participating kind of course, and this is the first time he know about learner autonomy. So he thought yes, I wish to become an autonomous learner in the future. However, I still need some more guidance or scaffolding from the teacher or professor so that he can know how to arrange a learning plan and how to monitor or revise his plan, and later he can achieve the goal he wants. So this is my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Angela. Okay, good. So Elena is going to put us in a breakout section room for our discussion. All right, Angela? Okay. All right, so let's go. And the rest of the class, please conduct your peer review. Okay, lots of claps, okay, from the audience for you, Angela.
Hello, Alicia. Can you put me this
Yeah, wait a minute.
account into the meeting room because the professor cannot hear me. Thank you.
Hi, Dima. Would you like to get your PPT slide
Hello.
ready?
Hello, yeah, one moment, let me. Is it? Here it is. Can you see me? Okay, I mean, can you see the slide?
Yes.
And yeah, before I start, I must say that I misunderstood that we need to make a smaller PPT, so I will try to go through the bigger one as if I was going through the smaller one. So forgive me in advance, it was my fault.
Hello.
Hello,
We
teacher.
are back, and then I think in about 1 minute we are going to have our third presentation presented by Dima. And I'm very happy that Dima is back with us. Hi, Dima.
Yes, hello, teacher.
Okay, so please make your, I think it's your paper, huh? Make it bigger
Yes.
so it will be easier for our class
Uh,
to see the words. Could you make it bigger? Is it possible to make it bigger? Right now, I think the size, I think you can still make it bigger, right?
like this? Sorry.
Right now, could you make it bigger? The words.
Like this?
Yeah. Much better.
Okay.
Good. Okay, so it's time for your presentation, please.
Yeah, let me start.
Get started.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Dima, Dmitra Midyukin, sorry. And my final project is called Crime and Law is Ankh-Morporkian way of living suitable for efficient and real world. Okay, in the abstract, I tell about how crime and law are going hand in hand and always changing, but there's always a fact that some things that are crimes can become legal, while some things that are legal can become crimes. In the similarity, how killers are illegal, but at the same time, for example, police, special police forces can gun down criminals, but it is not considered a crime. And as my case of study, I present a literature work of British author Terry Pratchett called Discworld, because he explains a city called Ankh-Morpork, in which law and crime basically coexist in relative peace, but with a very convoluted structure. It is a city of dictatorship, oligarchy, and democracy combined in one single being, where one dictator has a group of guilds that allow him to control this city. And the question I present is, could such system exist in real world and be efficient? In the introduction, I explain more in depth what the city represents by itself. It is a city basically resembling Victorian era industrial London, where every nation is every member of every nation is present. It is dictatorial and oligarchic rule, and it is controlled by one ruler and his council of guilds. These guilds include a criminal organization as well, such as Thieves Guild and Assassins Guild. But while they have complete monopoly on what they are doing, they are all heavily taxed and licensed by the ruler, who I will call from now on a patrician. Basically, no unlicensed trade, no matter if it's legal or illegal, is allowed in this city. And my motivation for this research is due to constant world problem, which is crime. Because no matter how law tries to counter it, crime always either finds another way or a new crime appears. And this is a very present problem still. So, and I choose this topic because an idea and theme of creating a fair, ideal, and stable government is always present throughout the history. But even now, the results are not ideal as well. Even democracies are flawed, not to mention the autocracies. And for this study, I will be using two mini-series inside the mega series of Terry Pratchett called City Watch and Moist von Lipwig, because they contain the most information about political, economical, and social situation in the city of Ankh-Morpork. And I will present 5 articles which will support or dissuade my claim. These articles are here. I will explain them more in literature review. So in literature review, I must first explain that in the first article, Ankh-Morpork, the city as protagonist, it tells about how the city functions and what it is standing. It is obviously corrupt because it has both law enforcement and criminal world maintaining in peace inside of the city. And the crime in the city is also completely legalized. It is stable because both of these organizations manage to maintain their respective parts, but the difference is that City Watch, basically local police, are maintaining an overall peace, while guilds and criminal guilds maintain more localized peace, taking care of those unlicensed in the city. And also its stability and dependability depend because city managed to place itself into the global politics in such a way that allows it to become untouchable. If others even think about attacking or conquering Ankh-Morpork, they threaten themselves in financial and stable state. And it is very profitable because it is heavily integrated into this world's economical flow. So I want to again mention the idea of licenses. Basically, every guild member of the guilds present in Ankh-Morpork has to have a specific license, and without it, they cannot perform their trade without getting exiled or killed from the city. That includes both civil and criminal organizations. Now, in the second article called Mafia Organizations, the Visible Hand of Criminal Enterprise, its author, Mauro Catino, explains more like analyzes that how these criminal organizations, such as mafias, function in real world and how they are built. He explains that that they are driven by reputation, coercion, and violence, and that they are very rigid and alike, but with small differences. And in the end, he also explains about rituals, drawing parallels between other criminal organizations, but in the end ultimately said that such hierarchy, while stable at first, resembling a real law, is destined to fail because while bigger the criminal organization becomes, the more corrupt it turns and it starts to basically destroy itself. And this way, it also gives insight on criminal organizations and their peculiar tendencies in the guilds of Ankh-Morpork themselves, because they are, even the civil ones, are basically small syndicates. In the third article, third-party policy and approaches against organized crime and evaluation of the Yakuza exclusion ordinance tells about the attempt of using so-called Yakuza exclusion ordinances, which are the approach to fighting crime by cutting Yakuza, Japanese Yakuza, from help of non-Yakuza individuals and employ it in different prefectures of Japan. The result shows that this worked very well, greatly reducing the influence of criminal organizations in most of prefectures and overall having an effective way of working. But in the fourth article, where it says about school-based law enforcement strategies to reduce crime and increase perception of safety and improve learning outcomes in primary and secondary schools, a systematic review, it explains how school-based law enforcement in different studies is applied to schools. And unlike the previous article, here it shows that effect on schools is actually negative with this intervention, making them more criminalized and unfit for studying for students inside. And in the final article, fighting organized crime by targeting their revenue, screening mafias and public funds, shows that while the frontal approach to fighting crime that police usually employs, while works at first, it eventually makes the criminal organizations to lay low and hide their financial and criminal activity. The more careful approach also has shown that while it works better at targeting like finances, public image, and other things associated with, for example, mafia, eventually criminal organizations will just adjust their activity and their profile to such extent that they are no longer can be legally caught. So based on this, my research purposes are to interview students with proficiency in legal studies and find their opinion about this topic. My research questions are as such. What is Ankh-Morporkian system of governance? Why would or why wouldn't such governing way or be effective in real life? And three, what consequences would this way of ruling bring in the near future? My methodology is based on a qualitative case study approach to investigate if such governance will be effective and sustainable. Two of my participants are Ukrainian students, Maria Prokopenko and Olga Krasinko, which I contacted via Zoom. They both have master degrees in legal studies, and Maria is also focused on forensic science, while Olga focused on history of crime, which also helped me a lot in this. So I contacted them via Zoom in meeting and conducted interview, which they volunteered to provide output. Each interview was from 20 to 45 minutes. In the instruments, I used a semi-structured interview, and in the data collection analysis, I took information from the books and information from the interview and applied it to one another, finding if what I heard from the articles and what I heard from my participants correlates and is true in the end. In the preliminary studies, I have found that it is sometimes difficult to interview while not looking at the text, which I must explain in the beginning to them, but otherwise it's mostly okay. And in the reflection, I just told that it is difficult to make research papers because of finding documents and finding articles and also finding the topic for this and stuff. And in the end, here are the references and appendixes in which I made the interview with them. Thank you. That's it.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. So Dima, let's go to the breakout section and then we can talk. And the rest of the class, please provide your comments and feedback to Dima. Okay.